Do you want to... Wait a minute. This is not a usual video. This is my small garden tour. For all of you that don't know me, I'm Jan and I started my small garden quest last year. And today I will show you where my small garden quest brought me and how my garden evolved in just 1 year. So without further ado, let's dig into the main content. As you can see, my small kitchen garden is designed to be symmetrical. This, in my opinion, is more pleasing to the eye than having every bed for only one specific crop. Here in the front I have cucumbers, onions, carrots, peppers and cabbages. And the same pattern is repeated on the other side, just mirrored. I planted my cucumbers at the bottom of my beautiful archway trellis that I made. But unfortunately, because we had some bad weather and non-seasonal low temperatures in the morning, the cucumbers are still small. But I'm sure they will start to grow shortly and will cover the trellis in no time. Near to my cucumbers, I'm growing some onions that have been planted by the square foot gardening method, so 9 per square feet. This year I decided to grow some shallots and some yellow onions, and they seem to enjoy this location and are starting to thicken nicely. Next to my onions are teeny itsy beanie carrots. I don't know why, but I usually don't have luck with them. Probably because I don't water them regularly in the beginning. My garden is unfortunately 20 minutes away and I don't have time every day to water them. We'll see. Here I planted 2 peppers. This year I went with 4 or 5 different varieties and I planted them all over the garden. You will see more of them later on in the video. In both of front corners I have my cabbages, 1 per square feet, growing nicely and starting to form in heads. This year I was able to better control my slugs, and as you can see, there is not much slug damage. If you follow me to the other side, you can see the same planting layout, just mirrored. Some carrots are poking out and my peppers are screaming, "Prune me, prune me!" But as you can see in the corner, the cabbages are growing bigger and there are a few steps ahead in forming heads. I can't wait to make some delicious salads out of them. Going up from my cabbages, I planted some zucchini and peas. I planted here my zucchini because after a few weeks, when they will grow and they will need some more space, my cabbages would have been already harvested, giving more space to my zucchini. As you can see, the zucchini is picking up nicely, having beautiful male flowers. But unfortunately, I can't see any zucchini on this plant. Oh, but look, here's hiding one, a beautiful yellow zucchini. I wanted to try something new this year, so I went for this yellow variety. Up next are my peas. I had a failure at the beginning of this season and some mice eat some of the seeds. But I replanted them and as you can see, they're growing nicely. I already eat some fresh pea shoots from them for the first time and the flavor was amazing. Here in the middle, I'm testing which soil mix is the best for the raised beds that I have. And as you can see, the raised beds are full of summer crops. But before I show them to you, I want to invite you to leave a like on the video and share it with your friends. It helps a lot in growing this channel, and it's a way of saying thank you. I almost forgot. Here are my zucchini from the left side of the garden. One of them is growing nicely, but the other looks like it got hit by the cold. But fortunately, as you can see, it's recovering, and it's sending new growth. And to finish this part of the bottom corner garden are some peas. And here is my original square foot gardening raised bed with the melts mix. I'm growing here some peppers, eggplants that as you can see are starting to pop some flowers. Last year I had lots of them and I'm hoping to repeat this year. And the back some lettuce that I'm picking regularly. One funny thing that I'm seeing in this raised bed is the presence of some tomato volunteers. I'm thinking, because I have some free space in my raised bed tunnel, to plant them there and see what variety they are. What do you think? Leave a comment down below to let me know. Here I have also a patch of carrots that are poking out slowly. Maybe they will catch and I will have my first harvest of carrots this year. Fingers crossed. But I'm sure that I will have a nice harvest of onions. Look at those beautiful plants. They are growing like crazy, dominating this middle path. I love the symmetry and how it all looks. Here on the right side is a raised bed with the same layout as my square foot gardening bed, just mirrored. The only difference here is the soil mix. In this raised bed I use only topsoil mixed with compost and cover it with some mulch. Because this raised bed is getting 1 hour more of direct sun, my peppers and eggplants are growing faster. They are looking healthier, and as you can see, most of them already have flower sets on them. Unfortunately, like the cucumbers, also my peppers suffered from the low morning temperatures, but they are recovering. I also need to prune them, following the method of my gardening friend Scott. You can check his very informative video about pruning peppers by clicking the link in the top right corner. And now, let me show you the back portion of the garden. Here, as you can see, are some potatoes in grow bags. This year I decided to test which soil mixture works best for my potatoes, and in the next harvest I will test what is the optimal number of seedling tubers to plant per grow bag. Few days after filming this, I already did the harvest and the result were very interesting. I will post a video very soon, and be sure to be subscribed so you won't miss it. My homemade pellet raised beds with all the brassica plants are doing fine. The cauliflower, broccoli and Brussels sprouts are growing nicely in them. The Brussels sprouts, as you can see, are getting taller and taller, and I hope I will get a big harvest out of them this year. The cauliflower is a few days behind from the cauliflower on the right side. I think this is due to the fact that we had a visitor in this raised bed, but I will tell you more about it when I will describe my raised bed mix test in another video. Broccoli is also a few days behind, but is already forming a beautiful flower head. Another 2 weeks and I will make some delicious broccoli soup from this flower head. This middle one, on the other hand, didn't start forming the head yet, but I like that, because in this way I will have them in a period of time and not all at once. But look at this broccoli head. Isn't it looking perfect? Another few days and we'll be ready for picking. Because of the mild weather in May and June, I have some beautiful brassica plants. As I mentioned, the right bed is just a mirrored layout of the left raised bed, but with a different soil mixture. And as you can see, with bigger plants. And as you will see, with bigger flower heads on them. See here, I have one broccoli flower head, and hiding behind this big leaf is another one. And here in the corner is the third broccoli head. And on the other side of the raised bed I have planted some cauliflowers. They're growing nicely and will be ready for picking in a few days. And look at this beauty. I think this one is ready to be picked today. Again, I'm happy that they are not all the same size, because I can harvest them a few days apart. If I would have them in a span of just few days, I would need to freeze them, because I can't eat that many in 1 week. But like this, when they are growing a few per week, I can have them fresh. My Brussels sprouts, on the other hand, on this side are not looking that good, especially the corner one, which received a lot of slug damage. I will probably need to replace it. But overall, I'm happy with the raised bed. Continuing to this corner back section, we can find a pepper next to some lettuce. I had another pepper growing here, but some rodent ate the roots of it, so I replaced it with some lettuce. Going up from here, we can find some bush beans. This is my first year growing them, so I'm learning the whole process. Behind them, we can see some melons that are struggling in this cold summer. I will need to build them a cover for next year. And here in the back, I have some more lettuce and some pole beans. I'm happy how the pole beans turned up. I planted them a few days too late, but they are still sprouted nicely. I will need to trellis them in a few days, up some poles. Here is another patch of my mixed salad, nicely spread apart with a square foot gardening spacing of 4 plants per square feet. And again the melons that are covering slowly but surely. My bush beans are starting to flower and I can't wait to start eating them. And here in the corner, my last 2 peppers of the year in my garden. So for those of you who counted them, I have 13 of them. A lucky number, right? In the back, as you know, I made 2 pellet herb gardens and planted some flowers in front of them. They begin to pop out and I can't wait to see the first flowers. Tied on the pole is a magnificent sunflower that will provide some seeds for the birds that will come by the garden in the fall. As you can see, my pellet herb garden is still standing, but the basil, it doesn't look that great. I think that the cold weather killed it, because the coriander and chive are looking great. I will see if the basil will come back to its glory now that the weather is getting warmer. So leaving my kitchen garden behind, you can see the rest of the garden. I'm still impressed when I think how my garden changed in just 1 year. I'll link a video in the top right corner of my garden tour from last year, if you want to check it out. So here you can see my compost bin system, the raspberry trellis system, and the back, of course, my tomato raised bed hoop house, with a flower raised bed in the front. This flower raised bed was created this year and the flowers are popping out nicely, and I'm already wondering how they will look. But this is my wife's space, so I can touch it. I can just look at it. But fortunately, I can look and work in my tomato raised bed. See all the weeds that I need to clean? I will do it in a sec, and I will show you the results. But first, let me show you how the rest of the garden is doing. My Pre-Bim composting system, what can I say? Without it, I wouldn't be able to fill all my raised beds with homemade compost. I made over 30 cubic feet of compost last year, and as you can see, the compost bin is still standing firmly. After cleaning it, before the gardening season, I immediately start a new compost patch, because you can't have enough compost, in my opinion. You never know where you need it. Right now, almost half of it is filled with leaf, grass clippings and some weeds. When I turn it, it's nice and hot, and I can already see some compost at the bottom of it. So after a month, I will turn it and place it in the second compartment, and when it will be finished, I will store it in the third compartment. Near to the compost bin, I built a raspberry raised bed. The first one has 6 transplanted wild raspberries in it. We had them on another location on the property, but I transplanted them here so I can take care of them. And this raised bed has 8 pot plants in it. I tried to mix the varieties and the maturing dates so it would have fruits over the entire season. And as you can see, the fruits are starting to ripen. I already eat some and they are delicious. As I promised, I need to show you now how I cleaned my tomato raised beds. So what do you think? Isn't that nice? I interplanted some onions in it and made a terrific watering system for it. So for those of you who stuck to the end, I have a great playlist on all the things you need to know about growing tomatoes. Go and check it out by clicking on the video that pops on the screen. You will learn how to plant, prune and water your tomato plants. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to my channel if you want to hear more gardening tips and tricks from me. Happy gardening!